Oh shit, we didn't see you guys there. How you guys doing? We are back. Yes, we are back once again for another episode of A Conversation with Kely. This is episode...
Cut the cans. Restart.
That was funny.
This is episode 22, and once again we are back to talk about the last 2 weeks of Big Brother 23 because we've been lazy, we've been behind, we have not had any time to talk about it until now, and now we're doing this at fucking 3 a.m. because this is what we do. We love doing this at crackhead hours, I guess. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. You already have seen our guests, but we're going to introduce them anyway. They've been on here before. They were literally just on our music video one that we did, but here they are, Dairo.
Why do you always do that at like weird times? Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Last time you saw me was literally last night.
Yes.
In the org music video.
That was fun. All right. So before we start things off, though, just general thoughts on your season, on this season of Big Brother so far. What are you thinking? Do you like it? All that kind of stuff.
You're talking to me?
Yeah, since you're the guest.
Crackhead hours. Okay.
Honestly.
Honestly, like, in the other podcasts, as I've said, literally probably the best gameplay I've seen in such a long time.
Absolutely.
Each player, whether we like them or not, has been given personality, has given gameplay. Mm-hmm. They're not couches.
No
one's slacking. Like, even if like gameplay or not, like you got Derek F, like who's talking nonsense, still giving entertainment. You got Brent, his egotistical side, like, and then Frenchie, like craziness. Like it's still.
There's so much to say about where you even start with Frenchie. Yeah, I think it's been a really strong season so far for sure. And I do agree with you that even the people that I don't like, they're still playing the game. There's no one that's just sitting around and chilling. Everyone is actively playing the game. Everyone really is doing what they can to benefit. Well, some of them are doing what they can to benefit themselves. Others are self-imploding by the minutes. However, we're going to get into those that are self-imploding by the minute by talking about these 2 weeks. Now, I will warn you guys right now, I have a lot of notes for week 2. I don't have a lot of notes for the last week because it was a pretty straightforward week. And not to say that the week 2 wasn't. It's Frenchie. So Frenchie's still there. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that went down. So we're just going to zoom through it. So we're going to go back to 2 weeks ago. Frenchie was just HOH. Kyland has been crowned the HOH here, and he's excited to be the HOH, but he's annoyed that the vote wasn't unanimous for Alyssa to stay when it was supposed to be initially. They wanted Alyssa to basically stay on a unanimous vote, and we see Derek F admits that his vote was literally just random, thrown to cause paranoia, which I like, but the problem is I feel like everything Derek F does is just kind of random. Like nothing he's doing this season is really making sense. He just continues to disappoint me by the minutes. And again, I'm all here for throwing votes, but everything he's doing feels like a thrown vote.
Derek F is definitely, I liked him preseason, but then he just hasn't done really anything for me this game.
Yeah, he's
100%.
He's been very, very disappointing.
He's very disappointing.
He just gets more frustrating by the minute. But we then realized Tiffany was actually coerced into doing it by the way of Frenchie. She promised him to do it based on the fact that he kept her safe, and she told him she would only do it if he didn't bring it up, which she's positive that he will. Which, I mean, that was your first mistake. Frenchie's not going to keep anything to himself because that's not the kind of player that he is. But we see the Kings are especially annoyed because these rogue votes occurred, especially since they didn't know that it was actually going to happen. happen. And so, yeah, the Kings are very annoyed after everything. But we see that Xavier and Kyland are still bonding really well. And this was interesting to me because for now, they're keeping the slaughterhouse intact, even though it's not a real alliance, even though it's pretty clear that this alliance is not going to last. I like that, at least for this week, they kept it intact. And I think it is going to help both of them at the end. But very quickly, Tiffany finds out that Brent already knew who threw the votes, and she's very annoyed that Frenchie has broken his promise. He really didn't take any time to try to like hide this from her. This prompts her to warn Kyland immediately about Frenchie. And I will say, Tiffany puts in some really good work throughout these next 2 weeks. I mean, she's really the one that is telling people, you know, just so you know, and I like the way she's doing it too. She's not dictating, you know, what they should do. She's just saying, like, just so you know, this person seems like a big threat. Just a suggestion. I think you should put them up. And I think it's good for that she's doing that. I do worry, though, that people are going to clock her for doing that every single week. But so far, I think it is overall working for her. What are you thinking? What are you guys thinking of Tiffany's gameplay so far?
I think she's been really strong so far and definitely one of the people that are playing the best. And she's just really smart. And honestly, like, I feel like she could really go far in this game as long as she's not blocked.
Tiffany's my winner pick. Her social game is probably the one, like, I would probably aspire to be. Like, if I were to want to be, like, a Big Brother player, it'd be Tiffany's social game. Because, like, in other past seasons, we see that these players, when they try to get information or try to, like, give advice, it's so, I don't want to say aggressive, but, like, it's so in your face. And the way that she does like, it's not, it's smooth like butter. Like, she does a conversation that sways into, like, this is what you need to do. I need you to, not like, she's winning this game if she continues to do it in the right way. Right now, she's doing it too fast in a way.
Yeah.
Also, I do see her leaving at a double.
That's my fear. That's my fear. That people are going to end up comparing notes and, like, double happens and she ends up going. But I do think if she survives that double, I don't think she's going. I don't. I think she's getting there. But again, we're going to have to see what happens in that double. But yeah, I am just so impressed by Tiffany's game so far. I think the way that she's playing, like Sean said, I think it's what we aspire to be. And when we see a really good social player, this is what we want. You know, we want someone that's able to dictate, you know, that's able to pretty much set the tone of what's going to happen for the week, but not make it so obvious. She's doing it in a very subtle way. She's getting into people's heads. She has all these deals that I don't think are going to go anywhere for a while. I think she's probably sitting pretty for a long time, and I think it's really going to bode well for her in the end. But the other person that I think is playing very strong, especially this week, is Kyland. I mean, look, coming off of any HOH after Frenchie was going to be really good. But the difference between the way Frenchie does his HOH and the way Kyland goes about his HOH is I mean, it's, you know, it's just demonstrably different. I mean, the way he goes about it, it could not be any different from the way that Frenchie did. And I really enjoyed what he ended up doing because he makes it pretty clear throughout this week that his target, you know, he's going to be very coy about it. He doesn't want people to know who he's targeting until the nomination ceremony happens and things like that. And I thought this was a really smart thing to do because he doesn't want to make any unnecessary promises to people. You know, you can say, oh, I'm putting up this person, and then you don't put up that person and don't deliver on what you promised, you know, then you find yourself fucking up, and then you find yourself, you know, making an unnecessary enemy out of someone. So I think it was actually smart of him to not reveal his target until he actually did it, even though I think it was pretty clear what he was going to do. I like that he overall went about it that way. So yeah, I really enjoyed how he went about that. But Azah and Tiffany at first seem like they're comforting each other, and this was really, really great. Basically, it seems like at first they're comforting each other about being away from their families, but in reality, they're using this as a way to strategize. And Tiffany feels no matter what happens that Frenchie needs to leave on Thursday, and we see Azah, on the other hand, is seeming a bit conflicted since he is her teammate, and this is really kind of the start, and this is something more we get into when it comes to the next week. There's definitely a very stark difference between the way Tiffany plays the game and the way Azah plays the game. These two are getting along very well now, but in terms of the deals that Tiffany has, this is the one I see crumbling. I really do, because I think Azah is the type of person that is just so nice, and she does let her emotions cloud some of her decisions, even if it doesn't really make sense for her to do that. I think we'll talk more about that with the next week. And I think that is overall going to hurt her. And I like that we're already seeing like the beginnings of, yeah, there's some cracks here. This isn't going to go as well for Azah, and I like Azah a lot, but I do think the thing that's ultimately going to hurt her in this game is just her niceties and how much she cares about everyone. I think that is going to cloud some of her decisions overall. What do you guys think, though?
Well, okay. Well, one thing first, going back to the whole Kyland HOH, that's the HOH that was supposed to be. I would say that technically I would count that as like first week HOH. That's how you should go about an HOH.
Yes, definitely. Frenchie's was like, I don't know what it was.
His was just a mess.
Yeah.
With Tiffany and Azah, I like that their relationship so much.
Oh yeah.
That like what Brandon said in the chat, like that acting moment was everything. Like I was like, oh my god, like that's something I would do. That's something I would do.
Yes.
But the gameplay is so different. Like Azah is looking at a team perspective, Tiffany's looking at an individual component, because at the end of the day, the team twist is going to end, and you're going to have to play this game individually. And Tiffany is going in that right direction where Azah is so selfless. I care about my own team, which is funny because her intro, like during the house guest reveal, in the first episode, she's like, I'm not afraid to cut a person. I'm not afraid to cut a bitch. Like I'm a snake and all that stuff. And then you see like her real persona in the game, which is like, I care about Britini. I want Britini on the block. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, I like Azah a lot, but like I said, I do think that her overall emotions and how much she just cares about people, I think that is going to end up being her downfall in this game. But
I think they will work well together for like a certain point, but then eventually they're both gonna like possibly turn on each other like in a couple rounds.
Once we get to jury, I definitely see it becoming an issue, but we'll have to see, of course, what ends
I do love their friendship though.
Yeah. So we then see the next wild card competition is announced, which of course is barring the queens, and we see Hannah and Christian, Hannah and Christian also cannot compete because they competed last week. So after careful decisions, the kings decide to send in Sarah Beth. The jokers send in Frenchie, and this was interesting. The aces leave it up to fate again, and Brent is selected by a random draw. And this was an amazing draw because essentially Frenchie and Brent are already wasting it. Brent does not need this at all. Frenchie kind of does really need it. But I love the fact that they basically wasted it here, and this slightly bothers him, and he's like, he knows he didn't really need it and things like that. And we see Frenchie starts to get really paranoid here because Kyland isn't looking him. And this was so funny to me. Like, this is another thing where it's like the littlest things bother Frenchie. It's literally just because Kyland is not looking him directly in the eyes, and he's like, oh, well, he's not looking me directly in the eyes, and I don't trust him, and he's telling him that he's gonna be okay, and he goes over to Brent, and he's like, yeah, Slaughterhouse is done. Basically just ends every single alliance that he's in, and I'm like, you haven't even been nominated yet. Like, what are you doing? He's literally dismantling everything that he set up last week, and here's the thing. His game was already in shambles, but I feel like he made it even worse here.
Oh God, he literally handled that so bad, and he literally just like made himself a target right there.
Definitely. Oh yeah, he made it worse for himself, but also as a viewer watching it, it's so entertaining because the impact of his blow-ups and like paranoia, like that puts seeds into people's heads. Like when he went to Whitney, he goes, "I'm done," and specifically to Whitney only in the not the have not room, that the other room.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's other people in that freaking room. Like, you wouldn't suspect, like, what is he talking about? Like, what is this? Like, what is that?
Right.
Like, you know, so like just even that, like his impact basically like is entertaining.
Oh yeah. I do think as chaotic as his HOH was, it did kind of set the tone for the season with everyone just playing so hard. And I think it's, you know, even though his HOH was so disastrous, I think everyone's in game mode, and I don't think they've left game mode since then, which is really great to see. But basically the aces talk about Frenchie and just how much of a loose cannon he is, and everyone seems to be separating themselves from him. And I will say, I don't know if I brought this up in our last podcast for Big Brother, but I really like the way they're editing the teams. Like I like that in the corner of the screen you get to see like which team is talking. They're really kind of taking advantage of that this season, and I actually like that a lot. I like a lot of the editing for the teams and whatnot. But basically Frenchie goes to Brent trying to get him to throw the wild card comp, telling him that he's basically going home if he doesn't. And this has the opposite effect. This basically fuels Brent's desire to gun that much harder for the wild card. So again, another really awful move by Frenchie. I don't even know what he was what he thought was going to happen here. There was no possible way that Brent would throw this for Frenchie. I think the only person that would throw this for Frenchie is Derek F. That is the only person that would do it. No one else, I think, especially at this point, is going to throw this for Frenchie. So I really don't know what he was thinking by doing that. I think that was a really dumb move on his part. Amongst many things that he did was a really dumb move. But let's get to the wildcard comp, because once again, I have to praise Big Brother. It's another strategic comp. This is another one where it's very much a mental comp in that way. It involves thinking, you know, you're looking at different paintings and you have to choose the correct color, and basically they have to memorize, you know, different portraits of art, and if they get it right, if they get the right paint dumped on them, they get the points. And it's a pretty close challenge overall, but Sarah Beth is the one that ends up winning this comp, and I was really happy for her. You know, we talked about this, but Sarah Beth is turning out to be a much different player than I thought she was overall going to be. I thought she was someone that was just going to kind of lay low, but she's really playing hard, and it's great to see.
Honestly, Sarah Beth is the one who surprised me the most, because she's
absolutely.
Like, I think she can be definitely like a dark horse in this competition.
Yeah, for sure. And what she ends up doing here when it comes to the wild card, because we see what the twist is this week, is that basically in order to obtain safety, she has to swap places with the queens and would essentially have to give up her spot to someone else and then become a queen all of a sudden. And obviously it's week 2. She's not going to do that. It's just too early. I love the fact that the house guests are rejecting these horrible twists because we don't need them. And basically she ultimately decides to not take the safety because she really doesn't need it anyway, and she wants to continue working with her current team. I think this was absolutely the right call for her to make. I don't think there was any reason for her to take this overall. And like I said, I'm all here for any opportunity to you know, void stupid twists like this one. So basically, Tiffany then sits down with Kyland and says that though she doesn't know his relationship with Frenchie, he needs to go for him now because he's not going to be able to do it later. And so he asks other house guests what they think. They all seem to agree that Frenchie has to go as soon as possible, but he also plans to go for Britini, fearing that she's most loyal to her team, and by proxy, also Frenchie, especially when the only name she's throwing out are people not on her team? And I'll get into it right now. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Britini throughout these 2 weeks, you know, with her complaining and things like that. And, you know, we'll get into that. But I will say right now, she is not playing a good game in any way.
No.
What is absolutely hurting Britini are a couple things. One is that all she does pretty much, you know, throughout these last 2 weeks is writing raps to sing at the eviction, to do at the eviction, and complaining about the fact that she's on the block. But she really should be looking at this as a way to get in with people. You know, let me be your pawn. Let me be someone that you can use, you know, when you need an option. I think she should use that, but she's not. She's not really making any connections. And I think she's just kind of like isolating herself from the house. And I think she's just, especially once the teams end, Britini is in a horrible spot. And I don't know what she's really doing game-wise here.
I don't dislike her as a person. Like, she is really nice. She just, her game is like really bad. And it doesn't seem like she knows how to play.
No.
Like, being put up on the block should be alarming, because that should be like a wake-up call to be like, oh, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
I mean, despite, like, you know, being a threat, that's a different story. But like, if you're nominated, you don't know why, and the reason why she got nominated is because, oh, guilty by association.
Right.
That should be a wake-up call. Like, yeah, you may be loyal to your team, but there's that component where the teams will end. So like, I definitely agree with, like, you know, if when the team twist is over, like, she is gonna be the one like targeted.
Yeah.
She's part of that list. Like, and what's fascinating about the season is that the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks have been a good house decision. Like, I don't know last time we saw that happen.
Right. Pretty much, yeah. It's been like, this is the house target. This is who we're going to go for. And that's how it's been. And I think for Britini, you know, she's not really thinking about the fact that the team twist is going to end. And eventually she's going to have to, you know, find more allies that aren't just on her team. Because realistically, like, Derek F and Azah aren't doing much to help either, especially Derek F. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. So like, yeah, not really working out for Britini at all. But basically, in probably the most obvious but best possible move, Kyland does take the shot, nominates Frenchie and Britini for the week. And that's everything that goes down in Sunday's episode. Now, let's get into Wednesday's. Britini is really freaking out about being on the block here. She feels that she's being scapegoated next to Frenchie, and Azah and Derek F are not happy about it. And Derek especially feels that Kyland should have given him a heads up about this nomination. And I don't know why he needed, I don't know why he needed to assure Derek F of that. Britini's not in the cookout. That's not something that, you know, that's where Kyland's allegiance is to right now. Derek F is also in the cookout, even though sometimes he acts like he's not. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see why he needs to give him that heads up. And again, Derek F's game is just very confusing to me overall.
It really is.
It is. And what's upsetting is that, like, this is like, they're playing Big Brother, and like,
right.
The whole teams thing is just a twist. Like, you can't just be loyal to your team.
Yeah, this isn't Survivor.
No. And what makes me frustrated is for them is, like, I get it. Like, you don't want to see, like, just your, you know, a team member on the block, but also, like, Azah, like, the way that Azah was fighting for Britini not to get on the block, like, put on the block this week, is because she's just tired of hearing and being next to Britini, like, consulting her. Like, I can see that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But basically, Frenchie at this point is volunteering to go home, and he says as far as he use it, he will use it on Britini. Basically, if he uses the veto, saying he will go as far as to use it on Britini, because he feels if he does that, he'll find a way to keep them both around. I remember there was a point on the feeds where people were worried that Frenchie was going to just like up and leave and he wasn't even going to be evicted. He's just like freaking out at this point. But, you know, Frenchie and paranoia, they go hand in hand together. That seems to be his main MO. That's his only MO. And yeah, that's just how he continues to play. But the Kings are talking about Kyland's HOH, and everyone seems to be very impressed by him. They feel that Frenchie's true colors are about to show, especially since the target is now on his back. And Tiffany and Claire are assuring Kyland that he has made the best move and has handled these last 2 days in the best way that he possibly could. And the Queens, again, just really continue to impress me. I think they're all doing some really good work. And the Aces are feeling good about going for Frenchie this week and feel that everything he built, he will have blown up by the end of this week, even though he kind of already has. So we then get this moment with Frenchie and Kyland, and basically he says that he isn't mad about him at this at all, and he tries to help calm him down and says that he knows he's the target, but he hopes he can let Britini know that she isn't. And Kyland says at the moment he doesn't really see another plan, but he also doesn't buy that Frenchie would use that veto on Britini, and he will make sure that he doesn't win. And I really like the way that Kyland did handle this overall. You know, he didn't try to bullshit Frenchie. He made it clear, yes, you're the target. There's not a reason for me to assure Britini that she's not, because it's pretty obvious that you are at that point. And yeah, I mean, once again, I don't understand Frenchie's logic here, saying that he is going to use it on Britini, being so again, being so adamant that he's going to use it on Britini. You know, if I'm talking to Frenchie, I'm terrified because I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's.
I don't think he would have used it on her. I think he was just saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because, like, you know, there's all those freaking conversations he's had where
right.
Like, he would do it, but do the opposite the next. And what frustrates me the most with this week is the constant, like, you need to let Britini know. Okay, you, like, at least let me know. Like, what's their obligation? Like, with Derek F, like, no. Like, you should just stay in your place. You know you're safe. Yeah. Like, just stop. Like, worry about your own game, not Britini's. Yeah. Because the more that people worry about Britini's games, their games are tanking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You want to play for yourself. You're not playing for Britini. Like, there's a way to look out for her and, like, use her as, like, an ally and use her as someone that, like, you know, will go to bat for her. But the way some of these people are playing, it feels like they're playing for Britini. They're not playing for themselves. Yeah, so basically, he talks to Britini. He did decide to talk to her just to assure her that she isn't the target. For some reason, she doesn't buy it. She doesn't buy the fact that she's not the target. She wants to gun hard for this veto. I just don't understand her at this point. I don't understand why she can't get that through her head that she isn't the target here. But we then get this really disgusting segment of like Hannah and Brent bonding over his accent, which is gross because of the way that, you know, we know that she feels about him and the way that he's been treating her. We'll get more into that within the next week, but just really
literally Brent called him like garbage.
Absolutely. But Britini decides to talk to Frenchie and says that she feels that she was targeted because she's the only one who didn't throw him under the bus. And Frenchie believes this means that there's an alliance running the house, even though that's exactly what he did last week. So I don't know why he assumes there's an alliance going on that he's not in, because almost every alliance that was created, besides the cookout, he was in. So I don't understand him at this point. He decides to do what he thinks is throw an alliance under the bus, but it only is dismantling his game. He's going around telling everyone about the slaughterhouse. This is everyone that was in it. I think there were a lot of things he did wrong here, but his biggest misstep was being like, yeah, there was an alliance. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I was also in it. Like, I don't know why he decided to say that. I think there was a way where he could have maybe framed someone for creating this alliance and keeping himself out of it. But I also feel like Frenchie just undid so much of his game at that point. There wasn't really much he could do here to save himself, and he just kept making it worse.
Yeah. My saddest part watching that week or this week was basically There are no house meeting. I wish there was a house meeting.
Yeah.
That would have been so
Our
good.
That would have been great.
Especially when he's the one going around telling people that, oh, there's this alliance and this
Yeah.
person's in it, this person's in it. What made me like interested?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know who Derek X was talking to, but he was talking to someone, and they were talking about the slaughterhouse.
Right.
And Derek X was like, "You mean like the whole house?" Like literally everyone knew.
Yeah, I think they knew that the slaughterhouse was not, they weren't treating the slaughterhouse like a real alliance, and they weren't treating especially the French kisses like it was a real alliance, but they were hoping that Frenchie would at least stay loyal to it, and he very much did not. But basically, the queens talk about he basically starts by telling Azah and Derek X about the slaughterhouse, and he purposefully leaves out Derek F because he's his final two, and Xavier because he feels he can work with him down the way. So he then tells the French Kisses Alliance about it, but also admits to everyone, like I said, that he was also in it. And this just makes them think that their alliance was fake. So the queens talk about this and feels this confirms he has to go. If it wasn't already obvious, he needs to go this week. So we then see that the veto drawing happens, and Alyssa, Claire, and Derek X are all chosen to play, in addition to Frenchie, Britini, and Kyland. And at the veto comp, the players have to fill their bucket with suntan oil. And once again, Derek X, veto king here, once again wins the veto. Really kind of killing it, I gotta say. Really kind of killing it with these vetoes. I was not expecting him to be as much of a comp threat as he is, but he's really killing it, and I'm very much here for it. I really like what he's doing. I don't think that he's winning too many comps, but he's really impressing overall. So I really liked seeing him win this veto. And Frenchie's discouraged that he lost, pretty much just gives up after this, and he's disappointed with how he played. We see the aces try to help him through it and tell him to not give up. And Frenchie then attempts to make this deal. And this was a really weird move when he makes this deal with Kyland and Derek X. I don't know why, Kyland especially, why would you make this deal with him, especially when he's making it so obvious that he wants you out? And he basically says that, like, oh, I'm going to keep you two safe. I would never come after you. If you use this veto on me, everything's going to work out. Obviously, Derek X doesn't use it, which was very smart for him to do. He did not end up using the veto here. And that's what happens on Wednesday. Getting into the actual eviction, we see Frenchie is very unsure how to approach this because he says he really doesn't want to go out unanimously. He feels that he can be a shield and is going to like take a bullet for others. Britini, meanwhile, while Frenchie's doing all this campaigning, is just learning how to rap, basically. She's trying to lie low. She's creating these raps for everyone. It also seems like literally the only thing that she's doing. And it's like, okay, you know, you need to entertain yourself. I'm here for it. It's not the worst thing ever, but I really wish she'd just play the game. I really wish she'd put as much time into creating these raps into playing.
It just seems like she doesn't really know how to strategize or anything, and she's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
What frustrates? I need to stop saying frustrating in this freaking podcast. But
oh no, it's fine. I say the same word all the time.
It's crazy to me because if as a viewer watching, it looks forced.
Yeah.
Her act of entertainment, the way that she's perceiving herself to the other house guests looks so forced. Yeah. I know it's not. And the fact that like she's just like, oh, I'm doing this because I feel like they would keep me because I'm so fun. Like I did a rap like out of my ass. Like like she did too much this week.
Yeah.
When she could have just like accepted the fact that like, okay, cool, I'm a pawn. I know that Frenchie's going. There's no way that the vote's gonna flip because like he blew up his own game to begin with. It like ABC, like those factors basically threw it out that Frenchie was going home, but she was like, no, I think I'm the target. Like, sit the fuck down. Please.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, there was so much work she's been doing here, and yet she's just like creating raps. So Frenchie then makes this pitch to basically everyone that he claims he's going to play a lot quieter and relax and enjoy his time in the house. Once again, everything Frenchie does is just so extra. He goes around to literally everyone saying the same thing, and it's like, do you not think about what you're saying? Do you not think about the fact that you're saying the same thing to literally everyone? And like, for me, when I've played games with people and they say the same shit, also, hi, Mac. When I say the same shit to literally everyone, yeah, it looks really sus. It looks like, you know, it looks very obvious that you're probably, you know, you're probably bullshitting me. And I don't think Frenchie, for some reason, could get that through his thick skull. But basically, he decides to compare it to like Dan's funeral, which in no way is similar and should never be uttered in the same breath. I don't know why he compared it to that, because it is nothing like that specific situation. But anyway, we see this nice moment between Sarah Beth and Kyland, how it's the anniversary of her dad's death, who suddenly passed away from COVID. And we see that these two are growing really close. And I like this bond a lot. I think that it's a little bit more unexpected than some of the others. I don't think you would expect for Sarah Beth and Kyland to work together, but I think that they do have a pretty strong bond. And I think that is going to take Kyland pretty far. I think, like you said, Sean, like Kyland did what you need to do as an HOH, and that's in that first week, you know, you need to use this as an avenue to gain connections. And I think he did that with quite a few people. And Sarah Beth is very much one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First of all, no.
Not bad. Hi, Mac.
This is why I like watching Big Brother, because it's moments like that where you see the real emotions that people have in the house, especially outside of electronics, being away from family. Like, I feel like I'm house sitting, and I feel like I'm like, you know, the only one in a Big Brother house, even though it's just me. Like,
I guess you won.
I won, yes. Period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like, it's those moments. Like, I can't wait to see the family videos.
Yeah.
Like those moments, because like half the time when people like cry or people get sad, it's like strategy. And those moments are like, oh, this is why I watched this video, or not this video, this show.
I hope you watch our videos. That'd be nice.
But yeah, like it's those moments. But at the same time, it's like nice because it really connects into a strategy game, because that's how you can connect with people in the social aspect. And that, again, it goes back to Tiffany. That's why I love Tiffany so much.
Yeah.
Her social abilities, she's not even using the mother figure.
Right.
Which I like, because, you know, you got Karen from BB Can 5 who's like, I'll be the mother in the house. Like, but like Tiffany is like doing it in such a not to hide. Oh. You know what I mean by that, but
yeah. But yeah, definitely. I really like this duo a lot. I think it could definitely take Kyland very far. He then also does some really good work.
Honestly, I can see Sarah and like Kyland. I can definitely see them making it to the final two together. And I'd love that.
I mean, I don't know, with the way Sarah Beth's playing. I don't know. We'll see.
Fast forward to week 4.
She's just playing really hard, but I mean, they're still close.
We'll see. But he does put in some really good work with the aces, the jokers, and the kings to make sure he's good with them moving forward. He's also sure with Frenchie gone, the slaughterhouse is no longer going to exist. So he hopes that he will not be targeted for the next 2 weeks. And besides Derek X, it doesn't seem like the aces really have him. He doesn't really feel good with them. Obviously, minus Hannah, who he has, cookout with. But Kyland feels that Derek X is one of his top allies at this point. And Hannah, of course, as well, since they're both in the cookout. And the Kings seem a bit more willing to try to work with him, and they feel they need to team up with the Queens in order to ensure safety. And the plan seems to be if either of them win next week, the targets will be one of Whitney and Brent, which of course we will discuss in the next week. But again, really good work from Kyland here, just trying to make sure he's on good terms with everyone, but not trying to do it in a way where, it feels like he's just playing too hard. He's trying to talk to everyone. He's really just trying to make sure, that these people have him and that moving forward, he's going to be in a really good spot. And I think this HOH week, like, he's in a really good spot after, for sure. I don't think anyone's going to come after Kyland for a while. And that's why, for me, if Tiffany doesn't end up getting as far as we hope she does, I think Kyland's going to, because I really think he's putting in a lot of great work, and I think we definitely are seeing that here. But Brent feels that they need to we get this stupid conversation with Brent where they need to make sure a girl goes home next week because they got to even out the playing field, and Christian goes along with it, but really wants to target him and Whitney. And I just don't get this narrative. Like, why do we need a girl to leave? And here's the thing they're not recognizing. Like, sure, a girl hasn't left, but a guy has won HOH every single week. So, like, I don't understand, like, why, we have to even the playing field and things like that. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. And I don't understand Brent's game at all. He is just so egotistical. He thinks everything's going to go his way, and it's just not going to happen at all. But basically, yeah, so that's what ends up happening there. We get to the eviction speeches where we get Britini's infamous rap. We already talked about that. Let's move on. The one thing that was really funny about it, though, that I did want to point out, Julie's response to Britini's rap is not, wow, that was so great. It's, wow, that was the best rap I've heard all season. And I'm like, Julie, that's literally the only rap we've heard all season. That's not much of a compliment. Even I don't even think Julie was.
I love how shady Julie has been this season.
Oh yeah,
whole time, and it's phenomenal. Like, come on,
hilarious.
Period.
Oh yeah, she's definitely been a lot more on her shit this season than last year, where it felt like she didn't know how to host without an audience. But basically, Frenchie is just trying to appeal to emotion, and while he has done a lot of pitching, it's obviously not enough, and he is evicted by a vote of 11-1. And take a lucky guess who that one vote was. I wonder who could that one vote have been. Is it from the person who doesn't know how to cast an eviction vote?
I evict to vote Brittany. I evict to vote Brittany.
Oh my god.
Derek F. Just... what a character. What a character, honestly. But in his interview, he talks about all of these regrets that he's made, but he doesn't regret taking the first HOH since he wanted to see his kids and he knew that could jeopardize it. A lot of answers to me. This just seemed like blatant audience pandering. A lot of like what he did in his first HOH week. He was trying hard to like pander to the audience and, do what he can to make sure that Twitter is on his side and things like that. And it just felt so fucking fake. And he acts like, oh, I meant to play this way all along. I meant to flop. I wanted people to see, how he would play and things like that. I didn't buy any of this for a second when it came to his speech here.
And I don't every draft I've been in, Frenchie, Travis, and Christian were the last three picks.
Right.
With, as far as females, Whitney being the only girl last pick. And it frustrates me because, like, as someone who, like, is, like, an Asian American, for him to be like, I don't want to nominate a female, I don't want to nominate a POC. We're not seeing any POCs go home this week. And then what he does is nominate literally 2 POCs.
I know.
And potentially Derek X if he didn't win that veto.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like the gaslighting to the viewers, what do you call that? The
audience pandering.
He was even he was so performative. I'm just like,
oh yeah,
why? Like, you're the reason why POCs act the way we do, because you say you're an ally, you say you support this, but you're only doing it just to put yourself in this situation. Give yourself more clout, which is not the case.
Right. And we talked about this last week with Frenchie. You know, when it comes to that stuff, you want to practice what you preach. And that's what he did not do. He said he was going to do something and then immediately backtracked. And I think
he's literally a hypocrite.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely what ended up tanking his game. I think Frenchie does have a legacy as probably the worst player of all time, potentially, because I don't think I've seen someone fuck up their HOH first week that bad in a while, at least since like Willie and Big Brother 14. That's like probably the worst I've seen. I think Frenchie honestly did top that because of just how terrible this week really did play out. So yeah, Frenchie's gone. We move on to the HOH here, and this was an interesting HOH comp, to say the least. They have to answer trivia questions based on answers that Tom Green gave people about Big Brother. I would not have expected
Tom Green
to be the one to come.
Out of CBS chooses Tom Green, I would have, like, out of every celebrity Big Brother, they choose Tom Green. They couldn't choose Omarosa. They couldn't choose like Lola or freaking Chris. Like, is there Chris?
No.
Why would they choose?
Who's that gay
not
guy?
a Chris.
Who's that gay guy that played celebrity?
Ross Matthews?
No, the other one. The twink.
Which one?
The one that I think did he get first boot? And Celebrity Season.
Fuck! He was in Mean Girls. He was in Mean Girls.
Yes, him.
Jonathan Bennett.
Jonathan Bennett. Why
yes.
Chris? Who the fuck is Chris?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess we need a Chris to play Celebrity
They
Big
could
Brother.
have chosen anyone, but like Tom Green. But anyways.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice. Also, the reason I don't bring up Devin is because he did not win the first HOH. I'm talking solely about first HOH. I think Frenchie's is objectively the worst. I think Willie's was for a while, and I think Frenchie absolutely topped it in terms of just how terrible it was. But basically, it comes down to Derek X, Hannah, Alyssa, Sarah, Beth, and Xavier, and Xavier takes the win here, and pretty much by a landslide. Everyone else.
Let's not forget, every single one of those people left in that HOH.
Yeah,
was trying to throw it.
Right,
Xavier was trying to throw
they
it.
were.
Yeah, literally everyone was trying to throw it. So it was basically just like, who's going to accidentally get it right? And you see the look on Xavier's face. He's kind of like shocked that he won it. And that's exactly why. But yeah, this was a really good outcome for sure. Really like what we've seen from Xavier. And that really transitions us into the next week, where I think we have another really strong HOH train. I really enjoyed what Xavier ended up doing this week, where he's very happy that he won the HOH.
Xavier's another one who's been surprising me for sure.
Yeah,
he didn't need this HOH.
What?
No,
he did not need this HOH in my opinion.
No, definitely he did not need this HOH, I don't think, but I do think he did a pretty good job with it. I don't think he did anything to really.
He got lucky.
Yeah,
I would say he did get lucky because the house targets still were intact at that moment of. Oh my god, when Derek X.
Yes, it was so good. When they were like happy to lose. I loved it.
Yes.
I loved it.
When are they dating, please? Like they needed to like start being a showmans.
I've said it to Allie because like we were talking about it. I think I see Derek X and Hannah being like one of those couples that ends up dating after the season. I think they're in a flirtmance right now, but they're trying to not be clocked as like an obvious duo. They're both, playing separate games and things like that. But I think once the season's over, these two are absolutly getting together. And it's just like any day now at this point. But yeah, I'm very much here for it.
Fast forward, spoiler alert, kind of ish. But my favorite moment recently is when I was watching the feeds and Hannah was wearing Derek X's sweatshirt. And Xavier is like, whose sweatshirt is that? Whose sweatshirt is that?
Oh yeah, they are doing whatever they can to like they
It's
must
so
know
cute,
how many
though.
people love them on the feeds. I saw another moment where Derek X was like, "Let's not tell our parents about this," and they were like changing, but it looked like they were doing something else. I thought that was a great moment too. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, I'm very much here for Derek X and Hannah. I really do like the duo for sure, but basically, Derek F is very disappointed that Frenchie is gone, considering that he was his final two and now needs to rethink his game. I don't know why he thought this was a legit final two, especially after everything that Frenchie's done. It shows how bad Derek F is really playing this game, that he really thought that like this was something Frenchie was going to stick to. Because here's the thing, Frenchie said he was going to stick to it then. Guarantee him another week, he probably doesn't, because his opinion changes on a dime. And like, I don't know why he thought that he'd, stick with him in that way. But, basically he talks about how he's very much in with the cookout still, and he feels really good with an Xavier HOH because of that. And the other Kings are also feeling really great. And this is a really good turnaround for them, obviously, because, week 1, Alyssa was targeted, and week 2, they didn't really know how to feel either. And none of them have really felt safe since day 1. We do get to see a little bit of follow-up on Kyland in his HOH rank, because he was able to put together this new group. It's called the Royal Flush. It also includes Derek X, and it's probably going to crumble the second the teams are done. Let's be honest here.
Spoiler alert. Oh my God. Spoiler alert.
One day you'll get to say it right.
I don't see this alliance crumbling. At least yet.
I would consider this a mild alliance.
Oh yeah,
because of the fact that like it's literally 2 teams.
Yeah,
over 6 people.
Yeah,
we already know. Like 5 people can't even handle. An alliance. Shout out to Faute. Like they couldn't even control that. Like
that was Faute.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't see this alliance crumbling at all. I do see this alliance very much crumbling.
I guess it's crumbling eventually, but not yet.
I think once teams are done, it's inevitable, because I think already a bunch of them are not on the same page, especially with the way things are looking at the end of this week, but we'll get into that. But yeah, so we have the Royal Flush now, and we see Azah is feeling very nervous for Britini this week, considering that she's not in the cookout. And again, this just stems back to what I was saying earlier. Azah is just, she's too good for this game. She's too nice of a person, I think, to really play this game. And I think her emotions are, her emotional investment in people is really going to end up fucking her over, because here's the thing. I can play games with either of these two, and I can care about them as people. But if we're not clicking and we're not, on the same page and things like that, that's way more important than just outside game connections, and that's the thing that Azah, I don't think, is really thinking about, is that her and Britini are not on the same page at all game wise, and it doesn't really make sense for her to stick by her. I get why she's doing it now because of the teams, but overall, I just don't think. Also,
back to what I said last time, she's doing it because she's tired of the constant whining, the bitching,
right?
And like she just wanted, as Jackie would say, 1 week free.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we get this segment, which I really like that they showed this. I was very happy.
I love this segment.
All of the sexist comments that Brent has said throughout the season. He's making Hannah especially very uncomfortable, and all of the women seem to be over him. It's everything from like talking about women's body sizes, attractiveness, how he apparently has like a lack of female friends. He's never had a female friend because they just like him and he dates them. I don't buy that, but like he legitimately thinks that, like he can't be friends with a female. And I've seen people talk about this. Brent is the kind of guy that, if we go back to like past seasons of Big Brother, normally would thrive. He normally would thrive because, you would have all these people that are just there for showmances. You would have all these people that are just there for like, to be an influencer and things like that. But this season, they're not here for it. They're not here for the flirting. They're not here for him constantly trying to get with every single female. They're just not really here for it. And it's really refreshing, honestly.
You know why?
Just not put up with it.
You know why? If you're looking at like casting wise, I'm pretty sure only 2 people who got recruited this season. The rest know Big Brother. The rest are, half of them are super fans, so they know.
Exactly.
They know what to do and not what not to do. Like,
let me guess. Was Whitney one of them? Because she feels like one.
No. Well, the obvious one is Derek X. That's the obvious one. I don't know who are recruits, but I know there's probably only 2.
Okay.
But like, it's his ego.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's not more of a flirt tactic. It was more of like, he talked about himself every single time he talks to like the females.
He
like,
can't have a conversation without talking about how good looking he thinks he is, or
like, Allie, I'm sorry,
how
we
people
can't be
gravitate
very
towards
attractive.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, exactly. I mean, it was really disgusting. He just made various attempts to try to flirt with the women in the house. And again, it really just shows his ego and arrogance level. And from what I heard, I mean, they didn't even show like the worst of it, especially when it came to Alyssa. I know there was a lot of gross stuff going on there. Just really awful he's
a really terrible, he's honestly the worst this season.
Yeah, just if Frenchie was entertainingly bad, Brent's just bad. Brent's someone I don't want to see. I don't want to hear him. He's just annoying. Like I said, he's just constantly talking about just how great he is and everything. And I am not a fan of it very much at all. I didn't think I was going to like him preseason, and I dislike him even more than I really thought I was going to. But with loyalties and now both the cookout and the royal flush, Xavier really doesn't have many options this week. And this kind of goes back to the fact that he should not have gotten this HOH, because he really only has slim pickings here, where basically he just has Whitney, Brent, and Britini. And we see once again, Tiffany gets into his head. She tries to convince him to put up Brent, which it seems like he's down to do. And she makes it clear that she does not want to control his HOH, but does feel that getting Brent out is the best possible move for this week. And yeah, I mean, I think it definitely was the right move. We then see that there are some possible duos forming in the house. We already talked about Hannah and Derek X, who clearly seem to have feelings for each other. The big one, of course, though, is Christian and Alyssa. They actually are now becoming a...
there are showmans. If you watch One Piece, they literally made out.
Oh,
their duo is called Chrysalis.
Yeah, boring. Don't have much to say about it. I don't
honestly, like, Christian's literally just Ellis's puppet. Pretty
much. I mean, there really isn't much to him at all. He has a different hairstyle like every episode.
But let's be honest, who's doing it better, Alyssa or Nicole Franzel?
It's
Alyssa.
True. Yeah.
Offense, Allie.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I do think that Alyssa and Christian, I don't dislike them. They're just definitely like the ones that are kind of boring me right now.
They're just kind of boring, but I don't dislike them.
Yeah. So we then get this conversation with Hannah and Derek X. And like we said before, they deliberately threw this HOH so that Brent wouldn't win. But Hannah's also very adamant about him going because of how truly uncomfortable he is really making it. And Derek wants to throw the wild card if he gets picked, especially if the twist is like the first week. And again, just the amount of strategy that's going on here is so good. Good. I love
the way that Derek X he's such a fast learner. I think it's just, I don't know if it's just like an Asian thing, but Asians are fast learners. But like, he was able to quickly grasp and put his foot down and be like, this is what I need to do. Like, he got a grasp on how to play Big Brother.
Oh, yeah. And like, yeah, from what I understood, he didn't really know much about it coming in. So like, it's really impressive just how quickly he's been able to pick things up. And I think right now is probably in one of the best spots in the entire house. He's really good with a lot of people. And Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly amazed by the way that Derek X is playing this game. I think he is very much one of my favorites right now. And I do want to go over to Brandon's comment here, because this was really funny. When Xavier
That was so funny.
just walked in on them. That was great. I did love that.
That was hilarious.
But it's time for the wild card.
When he was in the diary room, he's like, at least do it on the couch.
Not the couch.
So good. But yeah, so we then get the drawing for the wild card, and basically Derek X, Tiffany, and Britini are the ones that are going to compete. And Derek X and Tiffany talk about how they need to make sure that Britini is an option. So basically, Tiffany has to be the one to win, because Derek X already said that he was going to throw it. So there really is no option but for Tiffany to ultimately win this. And I will say, the one thing I do have about this week, we're starting to see how the teams are sort of holding some people back, because it's like, oh, I'm throwing this because I don't want my team to win. And I get why they're doing that, but I'm glad that the teams are ending next week, because it is starting to get a little annoying where people are just like, oh, I want to throw this because I don't want this person on my team to win. You know, I don't really love that. And I think we are starting to kind of see that throughout this week. But basically, the condition for Tiffany's safety is that she will also, basically we get the actual competition. It's a math-based one, and it pretty much goes the way that they wanted it to. Tiffany does, in fact, secure this win, which I was so happy about, that she ended up winning this wild card. But then we get to the twist, which again is, as we like to say,
Britini could have won this comp.
Oh yeah,
she had.
Oh god!
All she needed to do was change one number. And
yeah,
got Derek X out.
Yeah, she could have.
Also,
she could have.
There was only 3 of them playing. She was so focused on Derek X that she wasn't even focused on Tiffany's board, which she only had 2 cards in, which she could have just honestly kept putting cards into Tiffany's where it's 4, and then now she can actually do the math for both and realize what number she needs for both. But she was so focused on Derek X, and as much as like I get it, but she is so low on my player favorites.
Oh yeah.
She started crying, saying that she was, like they pinned her against her back, like she was like they ganged up on her. Like, no, it's not that. It's like, if you realize like what they're doing, she doesn't have a grasp. She doesn't know. Anyways, do the twist.
Yeah, this twist, once again, is what we like to say, rotted, very much so. Basically, Tiffany has this thing where she will have to make one player from the Jokers and the Aces safe, which again is like, why would you want to take this?
No.
Obviously, she doesn't want to show her cards too early on. Tiffany has like 1 million deals with people right now, so it was very smart for her to not take that safety. And again, I think similar to Sarah Beth, she didn't really need it. She really did not need that safety. This really was just so Brent wouldn't win, and Brent could still be an option, and that Britini could still be an option. So I do think that this was probably best case scenario for her overall. And like you said, Britini's freaking out once again about what happened. She felt like she was like ganged up on during the wild card. And it's another one of those things where it's like, they were not gaining up on her. They were it was very much one of those things where they were trying to keep her on the block. I think she should have recognized that. And I think that's the problem with Britini, is that her emotions really kind of get the best of her. And this is where Azah makes this decision where she doesn't understand why they targeted her. And she makes this decision to Xavier where she's like, you know what? You need a pawn. Put me on the block. I'm the one that you should put on the block for this week. And I'll just say right now, if Xavier had done this, this would have been a really dumb fucking move. So
that would have been a terrible move for him.
Oh, yeah. And I do get Azah's reasoning, sort of, where it's like, oh, well, we're working together. You need a pawn. Put me up. But it's one of those things where, he has an alliance with her. He's trying to keep his cards as close to his chest as possible. And, I think, Britini is someone that he doesn't have any allegiances to. If his HOH goes horribly wrong and Britini goes out, it doesn't really affect him. It doesn't really affect him because at the end of the day, you know, Britini isn't someone that he's tied to. If Azah goes out, though, that really does fuck him over. So I understood his logic perfectly here. And I think that it was a good idea to not go along with this because he doesn't really want to do that. But he then comes up with this idea that he's going to try to trick Brent. He wants Brent to think that Britini is the target for this week. He makes it clear he doesn't really have any other options. And basically, he talks to Brent and tells him that he is going to be the pawn. And Brent goes on the full tirade of like, why would you put me on the block? You know, I'm a big threat. You don't understand. I'm such a big threat. I'm gonna go out. And it's
literally
like,
so
how
cocky.
are you a threat? You haven't won shit.
He's so cocky.
Yeah, and I don't understand his logic either because I think he says later in like his exit interview with Julie where he's like, oh, I did nothing to prove myself. And I'm like, then why the fuck did you say all week that you're such a big threat? I just don't really get that. But he wants to keep Brent calm throughout the week, but by putting him on the block, he knows that he's going to blow up his game. He has a feeling that Brent's going to end up doing that himself. So he does stick to his guns and ultimately nominate Brent and Britini for the week. Again, pretty much went the way that he wanted to. We go into Wednesday and Brent doesn't buy the fact that he's the pawn for this week at first. He doesn't buy that that's the case. He's like, why would you put me up? I'm going to go out. I just don't understand this. And Britini is, once again, as she normally does, cry. She's crying about this nomination, and Xavier's comforting her, but he does still feel her being up is the best move to ensure that Brent goes home. I think it was a good for him to comfort her during that time, just so like he can show her that like, I have you. I think it was good for him to overall do that. And I think it's especially good, you know, again, so he does sort of have Britini in his back pocket, even though he doesn't have that close of a relationship with her. I think it was good for him to do that. And we see the aces then talk things out, and they feel their best move is to play dumb. They want to act like they don't know what's going on, but of course they're hoping that he actually does go out this week. We get maybe the most screen time I've seen from Whitney all season, and I wish I didn't because she's really boring and I don't like her, and she's really problematic as well. So like,
she's like the only girl I don't like.
Yeah, she was literally on screen, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Whitney's here." I forgot that she was on this season, but basically, Derek talks to Azah and can see her frustration with Britini being targeted, but wants her to know that the cookout is what's overall most important. And again, weird to me because I again forget sometimes that he's in that alliance because a lot of his gameplay just is not really making sense with what he's doing. And he kind of did the same thing with Britini last week. So Xavier sits down with Brent and he brings up their existing connection from the slaughterhouse. And he warns him again that getting him out is not the right move when he has been nothing but loyal and truthful to him. And Brent feels that he has everyone wrapped around his finger. He has all these connections, but he just isn't realizing that like these people are gunning for him. All of these people that he thinks he has, they're blatantly targeting him this week. They are very much rallying for him to go. And I just, it's got to be his cockiness. Like that's the thing that absolutely is what gets him to not, think maybe, have some doubts or to think that maybe something's not right here. Maybe they are targeting me. He doesn't have that doubt. And when you play Big Brother, you always got to have that doubt. If you're on the block, even if you think that maybe you're safe, you always got to have that doubt that maybe you are the target. Maybe you are going to go home. And Brent really kind of never does. He does for like a second, but I feel like every time he did, he just stemmed back to like, oh, I'm so likable. Everyone likes me. I have all these alliances. And it's like, literally nobody likes you. Like, kindly fuck off. So I do agree with Brandon. Definitely, that's definitely gives me that vibe for sure. Not a fan of Whitney at all, like I said. So basically, we then see Azah goes to Xavier, and he assures her that he only put Brittany up because he trusts her. And Tiffany also tells her that Brent is the target, and it doesn't really matter who really sits next to him. And this is where we get this segment with Tiffany, where she talks about how, she likes her relationship with Azah, but she can see that the way they're playing is very different. Tiffany plays with logic, while Azah is playing with emotion, and she feels this is really starting to become a problem for her. And again, like I said, I do see this crumbling. I see this being something that could
that's definitely going to crumble.
Yeah, I do definitely see this being one of the few connections that Tiffany has that I don't think she sticks to. I think, a jury or something. No. Yeah.
No, not at all. Like, the only thing that's holding them together is the Cookout Alliance.
Absolutely.
And every person in that Cookout Alliance main goal is to make sure every single one of them make it to the jury phase. But you can already see the cracks forming in that alliance because Derek F. and Azah are the people in the bottom of that Cookout Alliance.
Right. They're the first ones to go for sure. 100%. I think
100%.
I see Azah going in like a double eviction or something like that.
I can see Derek F leaving first.
Oh, definitely. He's the first to go, I think, just because of how fucking messy and I don't know what he's doing.
He's just so confusing, his game.
Yeah, his game just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But basically, we get to the veto draw, and along with Brent and Brittany, Derek F., Whitney, and Christian are also picked here. And Xavier sits down with Hannah, says that he hopes that someone from his team will end up winning because they won't do anything. And Hannah says that Brent's ego is just too big, and she says she hopes that the rest of the house isn't suspicious of the cookout. And I loved Hannah throughout this entire week. I loved how adamant she was on Brent going. It was just really great to see, not letting him, not letting him talk to her the way that he was and things like that. Just really great to see that working out. And, basically, we get a classic comp of Boulderina, which here's the thing that's interesting to me about this. You just had a season of All-Stars, and you don't include, some of the most famous comps like Boulderina, but here it's back. And I was happy to see that it was back, but this is more of what I wanted last season, where you bring back classic comps like this one. It's always great to see Boulderina, and Christian ultimately is victorious. He wins the veto here, and this is, I believe, his third win. Yeah, his third.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
he is definitely going to be a target soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's very much on a comp streak at this point, and Xavier is ecstatic that he didn't win, considering that he doesn't want to change it much anyway. I loved his reaction when at first he seemed upset, and then he was like, nope, you're going home. I love that so much. It was so great.
So iconic.
How much he wanted to target Brent. And after the ceremony, we get this moment that was so funny to me. Brent pitches this idea to Kyland and Derek X to get Christian to not use the veto, even though he's not going to anyway. He doesn't want him to use the veto, and basically his plan is that he doesn't want the veto to be used, thinking everyone else is going to want Brittany gone, and he's trying to do what he can to blindside Xavier. And Kyland basically says this is the exact plan that they're trying to pull off, and as expected, Christian does not end up using the veto here. Let's talk about this plan that Brent had, because again, it's another one of those things where I don't really know what he was thinking with Christian not using this veto. It just
Brent is just very clueless, and he has no clue at all. He doesn't really know anything.
And the thing is, he thinks that he's this strategic mastermind who's gonna kill the game. He's like, oh, this is gonna be such a great blindside. It's blindside of you going home.
Brent is literally Raven, the mastermind.
Oh yeah, he's a puppet master. He's amazing. He's gonna do great things. But he talks about, so we get to the Thursday.
Oh my god, I ship Rent. Raven and Brent.
Oh, not that. No, not that at all.
Here's the thing.
I'm kidding.
He's so oblivious. Oblivious. I cannot English at all today, huh?
It's late. It's late. It's literally 4:20.
It's still
4:20.
It is 4:20.
Yes.
it's like it's his ego. Like he thinks, again, that goes back to like what you were saying. Like he thinks he has everyone in his pocket when he doesn't.
Yeah.
Uh,
And going to Thursday's episode.
well, that's the whole 24-hour. It was a whole shit show.
Oh yeah. We get to this moment where he talks about how he has the votes to stay because apparently in the past few days he has made some alliance with the Queens and his team. This alliance is known as the Mafia, and basically everyone's just bullshitting him. This alliance, it's not real at all. Basically they did it just in case Brent won HOH. And again, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, you don't normally see players do something like this. You don't see players think this far ahead, think of all the logical scenarios of what can happen. And it's really good that they literally plan this just in case Brent won HOH. It's really good gameplay on their part, just so they have that cushion, just in case Brent does win HOH, they know they're not going to be targeted. I don't know who he would target at this point. But, it seemed like he thought they had his back. So I guess it would have worked out overall. But who really knows? Who really knows? And yes,
this whole week,
you are correct here, Brandon. This did not help him at all. Very much not.
This whole week, I feel like I was eating, let's say a lemon. Oh, yeah. Lemon and sugar. I feel like I'm, eating lemon and adding sugar, sweet and sour. And then I run out of sugar because during this whole day, eviction night, you got two people basically exposing to Brent that he's going home. You got Derek F telling him, you don't have the votes to stay.
Yeah.
And you got Christian saying 3 guys have been evicted. And I'm just like,
yeah, I don't know why they had to spill the beans.
I was waiting for a blindside, and it didn't happen. It was literally the most bittersweet thing because we haven't seen a blindside since Rachel from season 20.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
season
true.
20.
There has not been in like a traditional blindside at all, and it would have been cool to like actually see it happen. But Derek F had to fuck it up, of course. So did not really appreciate that. And getting into it right now, there's not really a lot to talk about with this episode. It's a lot of repetitive conversations. The thing to talk about, though, is that is what's going to happen next week, because the Aces kind of talk things over and they talk about just how big of a threat that the Kings are, because they're going to be the only ones with their entire team intact. And basically, they have to gun hard for this HOH. Derek X, on the other hand, is kind of tentative because of the royal flush, and he knows that he can't be the one to take that shot. Again, just really good thinking from him. I really like the way that he is thinking of playing this game, wanting to stay loyal to that alliance. And he then goes to Alyssa, and she says that she's feeling nervous about this HOH, but feels confident that if she won, that Whitney would probably be her main target. And this is really sketching out Derek X, since he would lose yet another teammate, because that, as much as he isn't really bonding with Whitney, that's another teammate of his, and that's someone else that would end up going, and the Kings are going to remain in power. So he's really unsure whether or not he actually wants to stick with them moving forward. And we see Tiffany is also very much gunning for the Kings, especially with Alyssa and Christian starting to become a very strong duo. Derek X thinks that they should just throw it at Whitney because he knows that he can't be the one to take that shot. Whitney would be the one to take that shot for them. So that's kind of what they're planning to do. And the Kings are also really planning to go hard for this HOH, and they feel that Whitney has to be the one to go next week. However, Christian and Sarah Beth feel that it should be Hannah. And this was kind of brought up out of nowhere, them wanting to target Hannah because she's such a strong social threat who's willing to make a big move. And this is what's going to ruin Sarah Beth's game, I think. I like the fact that she is playing so hard, but the fact that he told Xavier about it and, he's in the cookout with Hannah, really not going to work out.
And
for her.
what bothers me the most is all the points that Sarah Beth has said to take out Hannah can be said about her as well.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would love if they teamed up.
They're not going to.
No.
I mean, who knows? Maybe.
And yeah, that puts Xavier in such a sticky situation because with Royal Flush and the cookout, and if you're watching this at this moment, you'll learn more information if you obviously like we're past, but like we're on week 4 already. But like if you're watching it now and catching up, you'll get more information watching the next week. But like it's just so out of the blue. Like why? Like are you that intimidated by a 21-year-old? Like she's the youngest in the cast,
right?
But like everyone else can say the same shit about you.
Yeah.
Because you're lying about your profession. She's a smart cookie too. Like,
yeah, I like the fact that she's playing the game as hard as she is. I just think she's targeting the wrong person. I don't understand why she sees Hannah as like such this big threat. I don't really think like, sure, Hannah's doing a really good job socially, and I think she's really well like integrated in the house, but I don't think that she's like this huge threat that needs to go like immediately. And
Sarah
I just
Beth is targeting the person that she should be working with. That should
absolutely
be her too.
Absolutely, those two would do so much damage together.
Also, I love how Xavier, Tiffany, and Kyland are the only ones to acknowledge that Hannah is a part of the cookout.
Yeah, it's true.
And it just warms my heart because I talked about this. And shout out to Logan and Jordan on the.
I was watching that actually. Very good podcast. Very much recommend it.
I talked about it in there, and I was like saying like, as much as it's an all black alliance, Hannah is also black. She's half black.
Yeah,
and the fact that like, those 4 people are the only ones acknowledging that she's a member, like, is so heartwarming. But like Azah and Derek F are like on the fence, like no, like it's like me forming an Asian alliance and not adding Hannah because she's half Asian. Like no, she's still Asian. She's also black. Like it's so frustrating just to see like the other two not like actually like having a single consideration like for her to be a member. But
yeah, definitely. It's just, again, it's one of those things where I really like Hannah a lot, and I really hope that, and I do think that she's going to do really well, but I also really like Sarah Beth, and I think this is going to be the thing that unfortunately really does fuck her
I
over.
honestly think they should just have like a really good conversation and talk things over.
They should.
Well,
but
if you watch week 4, that's already not.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, definitely not going to happen based on.
Apparently, Kyland and Sarah Beth are cuddling.
Yeah. But as expected, we see that the blind side is in fact successful. It's not really a blind side though, because Brent pretty much knew it was going to happen. He's voted out. But here's the great thing. It's a unanimous vote. It's a unanimous vote of the season, as it really should be. Unfortunately, like I said, he doesn't seem as shocked as we really wanted him to. We get his interview, which was just such bullshit. Everything about this
it's such
really infuriated me because he talks about how, oh, well, I'm not shocked and I'm this big physical threat and that perception doesn't go away. But I don't feel I've done enough to prove it. He feels that not using the veto would have just given him an extra week of safety. He's not surprised that the mafia ended up betraying him. And again, his entire thing this week is like, oh, I'm this huge threat. But now, like I said, he's saying that he didn't do anything to prove it. So it just, this whole interview, like I said, really pissed me off. It was such bullshit. I don't even feel that Julie really asked him the questions that we really wanted her to ask. I thought that she was going to grill him a bit more with some of the stuff that he said to Hannah or to Alyssa, but alas, that did not happen. But we get to the goodbye messages, and I have to say, Hannah's goodbye message in general is maybe a contender for one of my new favorites. I loved everything about this when she just said, enjoy your flight home at Big Brother, at Big Brother Airlines or whatever.
I loved Hannah so much.
It was so good. And I loved how her and Alyssa and Tiffany all were like making fun of him being a pilot with like the hand motions and things like that. It was so good. I loved it a lot. Very funny stuff. Really enjoyed the goodbye messages. And so Brent is the third person that is evicted. I do agree. Hannah very much did serve for sure. Like I said, definitely one of my new favorite goodbye messages. And I think, like we said, his arrogance and his ego is absolutely what got the best of him, and not going to be missed. Not going to be missed at all. Very, very much did not like Brent. Honestly, might be my least favorite of the entire season, because at least Frenchie was entertainingly bad. Brent is just fucking awful. Not going to miss him very much at all. Let's talk about this HOH comp, because
I hated it.
Not what we wanted. Not what we wanted at all. It's a team comp, and concept-wise, it's not the worst. Basically, each of them have to build a puzzle, but each player has to do it on their own, and the fastest to get before the clock expires is going to win. The problem is the way that they showed this was so confusing. I couldn't tell what was going on, what anyone was doing. The only thing I could tell is that the aces seemed like they were trying to throw it. Nothing else seemed to really make sense to me, so it was very hard to keep track of what was really going on here. Unfortunately, the outcome of this is not very ideal. Christian does end up taking the win, which secures the win for him and his team. And the Kings are in power again. And
I just think he's definitely going to be targeted next round.
Oh, yeah.
4 comp wins.
Literally, 4 comp wins.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm more happy that Christian is the HOH and not Alyssa.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, again, if you're catching up and you're watching this, spoiler alert, you'll know why.
Mm-hmm.
I am happy that Christian won, but I feel like Christian is more of someone that you can persuade in a nomination or even a backdoor or replacement nom. Can we talk about Brandon's comment?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That's true. They literally
Yeah. What team was he on? Aces?
Kings? Yeah.
Aces?
Yeah, Aces.
Oh, Aces would probably gun for it, but not give him the HOH.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
Aces will probably throw the comp.
Well, yeah, because then he's safe.
Yeah.
That was the other thing he talked about in his exit interview, about how it was stupid to not to gun for him. He thought if they used the veto on him, he'd just go next week, and it's then just take him out now. I don't really see what the point is of keeping him.
That's what I hate when it comes to Big Brother, is that little persuasion of you should keep me in this game because I'm a shield. But if people are already saying oh, we need to take your I hate when specifically they say, I think we should take this person out, but hold back and wait.
Mm-hmm.
No. If you're already saying we should take them out now.
Yeah.
And especially that's also in online reality games, when people do that, it's and
then they make it to the end.
Exactly. It's just frustrating. But yeah,
for sure. I mean, in terms of the Christian HOH, it's not the worst outcome, but it's definitely not what I would have necessarily wanted either.
It's just really boring because he's not, I don't dislike him. He's just really basic.
Yeah, he's not really doing much. He's really not doing much at all. And I do think that, you know, I mean, we know how this, I mean, we can't get into spoilers really. We'll talk about that next week, but, you know, we know pretty much what he is overall going to do. But I think it's more of like what his team wants to do and not really what he individually wants to do. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how things really do turn out for Christian moving forward. I do like the fact that it's, you know, someone it's not just constant Cookout winning, because I think that would be really bad for them overall. People would really start to clock the fact that they're winning constantly. So I like that it's someone that's not in the Cookout that won. It's just Christian has not really given me much as a house guest, so I'm just not really that excited for it overall.
Also, he has very limited people to nominate again.
He does.
Similar to Xavier. He should not have won this HOH.
I know.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening there, but we're all caught up. We're finally all caught up with what happened past this week, obviously. We finished at 4:36 in the morning. For those who are still watching, thank you, honestly.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm pretty sure you're the only one.
Brandon.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon, for watching.
I don't know if you're still here, but
I think he is. It says there's one person watching, so I think
it's Brandon.
But yeah, before we do end things off there, Sean, I am going to give you a chance to, you know, give your outro and plug things. And I do have the right Twitter this time, so go right ahead.
Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for coming. Just kidding. You can follow me here. I finally did it right.
Yes.
I hate that StreamYard is freaking mirrored.
I know.
Literally, if I'm looking at myself right now, I'm pointing at this side.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, you had it right before. You had it right before.
Iconic.
You can follow me here at
Yes.
Sean Dairo with 2 O's. You can also catch me with Big Brother Talk on the Fallout TV with Logan and Jordan and maybe a few guests. You can also catch me on well, you can't really catch me, but you can see my graphics at the Silent Podcast.
Yes, great podcast.
Yes, so good.
Everything but silent.
Absolutely.
Also, if you need someone to make graphics, you can hit me up at Dairo Media. You can
yes. I do want to shout
DM.
that out. I do want to shout that out.
DM
Sean did step up recently. They updated our graphics, and we are very appreciate of that for sure. They really
because
stepped
that heart
in.
was atrocious. That heart was atrocious. I couldn't.
I you know, I got what I could get online. I look up factors, and that's what came up.
If you ever need graphics, just ask Sean.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They are fantastic at them for sure. And we very much appreciate all the work that you ended up contributing. But with that, that's really it for this week of Big Brother. I'm glad that we finally were able to catch up because, you know, we were behind, and unsimilar to last season, we actually have talked about the first 3 weeks of this season as opposed to last season where I stopped here. So already very much on an upswing. Really good season so far for sure. Hoping that it stays really strong. But that's really for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye.